Look around you. The world isn't burning with fire. It's burning with lies.
Wow.
I mean, that is the opening line of the book we're covering today. And it hits you like a freight train. It doesn't ask permission. It just kicks the door down.
It really does. It sets the tone immediately. We are absolutely not talking about some cozy camping guide or a van life Instagram blog.
Not even close. Today, we are deep diving into Offgrid Van Life Survivalism and Prepping by Conrad Riker. And let me just say, right up front, if you think this is about which solar panels to buy for a weekend trip, you're in the wrong place. This is a manifesto. It's a tactical manual for what Riker calls the awakened man.
Precisely. This is for the man who looks at, society today, the institutions, the media, the workplace, and realizes the game is rigged.
Right.
Riker's whole premise is that every single institution you were told to trust has been, weaponized against men. And the only winning move, it's not to argue, it's not to vote harder, it's to vanish.
We're going to unpack all of that, the philosophy, the strategy, the how-to of disappearing. But before we get into it, do us a quick favor.
Please.
Hit that like and subscribe button right now. We're taking on some heavy topics here, stuff that usually gets buried by the algorithm.
Yeah.
And we really need your support to keep these deep dives coming.
And a quick note on the source, we're going to be referencing this text a lot. If you want the full manual, and trust me, there is so much technical detail we can't cover, you should pick up the ebook. It's available for purchase right now on Amazon Kindle and Google Play Books.
Absolutely. Go get it. Off-Grid Van Life, Survivalism, and Prepping. Okay, let's talk about the mission of this deep dive. Riker is writing for a very specific guy. The awakened, the red-pilled, the men who are just done.
He says the target audience is men who've realized the American dream, the mortgage, the career, the marriage, is actually a leash. He argues that civilization itself is collapsing under what he calls feminist delusions and Marxist bureaucracy.
And you can't fix it.
You can't. The rot's too deep. You can only survive it by reclaiming your sovereignty.
Sovereignty, that's the key word. So let's start with the diagnosis. Why escape? He talks about something called a feminine imperium. What is that exactly?
It's his term for the modern system. He argues that historically institutions, universities, governments, guilds, they were built on male hierarchies of competence, meritocracies.
Right, it was about what you could do. Hard skills.
Exactly. You produced value, you moved up, reality was the judge. But Riker says that over the last 50 years or so, these institutions have been captured. They've shifted from rewarding competence to rewarding compliance and emotional manipulation.
There's that line in the book that is just chilling.
You are not a citizen, you are livestock.
Livestock. That is stark.
It's meant to be. He argues men are kept around to produce, pay taxes, and fund a system that actively despises them. And he breaks it down. Take the workplace. He calls it the death of merit.
Oh, this part got my blood boiling. He tells this story about an HR manager in Michigan.
Right. A female HR manager, and she confessed this to Riker. She was being pressured to promote unqualified women just to balance gender metrics.
Yeah, we've heard that.
But the flip side was the discipline. She was being forced to write up high-performing men for having aggressive communication styles.
Which in this context just means speaking directly, right? Getting to the point.
That's his whole argument. Directness, logic, assertiveness, these used to be leadership qualities. Now they're pathologized as toxic. The workplace used to be a battlefield for ideas. Now it's a nursery for feelings. If you hurt someone's feelings with a fact, you're the problem.
And it's not just the office. He traces this all the way back to education. Schools were the first domino.
Yes, he cites some incredible data on Ivy League admissions. He points to internal documents from Yale where words like studious, analytical, and focused are actually flagged as negative.
That's right. Studious is a negative. At a university, that's insane.
It makes perfect sense if the goal has changed. If the goal is education, studious is good. But if the goal is social engineering, studious implies a man who is independent and task-oriented. The system doesn't want that.
It wants compliance.
It wants well-rounded, which he says is code for socially compliant. He argues the system is rigged to filter out the quiet boys who build things in favor of people who just play the social game.
It's the matrix of dependence. That's his term. We've been sold a con. You work hard, you play by the rules, but the reward is just more debt in a system that can ruin you with a whisper.
And that's the so what of it all. This isn't just about unfairness. Riker is identifying a design. The goal is to create neutered drones. Men who are afraid to speak, afraid to act, and totally dependent. He wants men to be dangerous again.
Not violent, though. He's very clear.
No, not violent. Dangerous in their capability, their independence.
So how do we get dangerous? Riker says before you even think about a van, you have to fix your mind. He has this great line. Thinking straight is the most radical act a man can commit.
This is his whole philosophy section. He's huge on the trivium.
The trivium. That's the old medieval method of learning, yeah.
It is. Grammar, logic, rhetoric. You learned how to think, not what to think. He contrasts this with modern universities that just teach critical theory.
He has that anecdote about the Harvard undergrad.
Oh yeah, the kid knew every pronoun and microaggression, but couldn't identify a simple logical syllogism.
He knew what to call people, but he couldn't form an argument.
Exactly. Riker says modern education is designed to make you doubt your own reason, to put feelings over facts. He says logic is armor. If you can think logically, you can't be manipulated by shaming tactics.
He gives some really concrete examples. That study from the University of Alberta.
That was fascinating. A cognitive behavior lab found that when men used a logic app to spot fallacies, they became sort of immune to manipulation in their relationships.
The emotional cheating story, I loved this.
Right. The guy's girlfriend accuses him of emotional cheating, and he just lays out a syllogism. If betrayal requires action, and emotional cheating is only a thought, then emotional cheating is not betrayal.
He refused to accept that she had jurisdiction over his thoughts. So what happened?
She left. He kept the dog.
Chuckles. Simple as that. Logic as a shield.
It sounds funny, but Riker treats it as a survival tool. He even brings up Jordan Peterson at Cambridge. He says Peterson didn't win with charisma, he won with modus ponens. Formal logic. It cuts through the noise. It's the one thing the system can't gaslight.
And he ties this into Stoicism, but he's not a fan of the Silicon Valley life hack version.
No, he calls that Stoicism as a band-aid. Using Marcus Aurelius just to handle stress so you can make more money for a corporation that hates you. For Riker, Stoicism is a weapon. He talks about a veteran in Wyoming who reads Marcus Aurelius every morning and calls therapy apps band-aids for a hemorrhage.
It's about enduring reality, not just coping with the office.
Precisely.
So, okay, you've armor-plated your brain with logic. Now you need the vehicle. And he says the van is not a home. It's a war pod.
A declaration of war, that's the framing. The van allows for what he calls jurisdictional arbitrage.
Jurisdictional arbitrage. That sounds like something from Wall Street. How does that apply to camping?
Well, arbitrage is just exploiting a difference. Here, it means using mobility to exploit gaps in the legal system. If you don't have a fixed address, the state doesn't know how to categorize you. He talks about using Bureau of Land Management, BLM land.
The 14-day rule.
Exactly. Camp for free on public land for 14 days, then you just have to move 25 miles away. He describes men who just rotate through these spots forever. They never establish residency, so they never trigger local tax or regulation nets. They exist outside the zip code.
But what about in the city? The story of the mobile data audits guy. That was just genius.
It's a perfect blueprint for urban stealth. So a lot of cities have laws against sleeping in your car in commercial zones. But they allow commercial vehicles to park overnight if they're conducting trade. So this guy registers a fake company, a DBA called Mobile Data Audits. He slaps a magnetic logo on his van, puts some weird antennas on the roof.
And when the cops knock?
He just hands them his business license, says he's auditing the local signal density. The ticket gets dismissed every time. It's paperwork warfare.
Wow.
Riker's line is, the state runs on forms, not force. Fill them right, and you become a ghost.
And being a ghost extends to money, too, the economic ghosting section. He says, the state can't tax what it can't track.
This is a huge part of his philosophy. He profiles a former IRS auditor who lives on BLM land. This guy keeps his income below the reporting threshold by trading labor for goods using crypto and legally pays zero income tax.
So the goal is to starve the beast.
That's exactly it. He says paying taxes to a system that uses your money to discriminate against you is a moral failure. He advocates for owning nothing and renting nothing, no property for them to put a lien on, no wages to garnish. You become unsqueezable.
You also have to disappear digitally, right?
Yeah.
He mentions Faraday bags and Tails OS.
Yeah, Tails OS is an operating system that runs off a USB stick and routes everything through Tor. Leaves no trace. He talks about these digital rangers using encrypted mesh networks to talk without cell towers. Your data is the new oil, and you shouldn't give it away for free.
So you're invisible, mobile, logical. Let's talk about the biology. He spends a lot of time on testosterone and the biological imperative.
He argues that men evolved for specific things, patrolling, hunting, taking risks. And modern society suppresses these drives, calls them toxic. He thinks the depression epidemic in men isn't a chemical problem, it's a situational one. Men are caged.
And he brings up fire, not just for cooking. He calls fire will made visible.
This was maybe the most compelling stat in the book.
Yeah.
He cites a real CDC study that found boys who were exposed to fire building before age 12 were 3.2 times more likely to pursue high-risk, high-reward careers.
3.2 times.
Yeah.
Just from learning to build a fire.
Riker's take is that creating fire teaches consequence and mastery. Reality gives you immediate feedback. You mess up, you get burned, but schools have banned it. He says when a man builds a fire, he's reconnecting with the spark of civilization. It's the antidote to safetyism.
And then there's the silence.
Yeah.
Detoxing from all the emotional noise.
Yeah, he profiles a YouTuber, Iron Nomad, who goes into the Mojave for 90-day silence retreats. No speaking, no phone. Riker claims 83% of off-grid men report drastically improved mental health, and they credit it to the absence of female emotional manipulation.
That's a heavy statement.
It is, but it fits his thesis. In his view, a lot of modern conversation is just a tool for controlled guilt trips, circular arguments. Silence isn't just quiet, it's a detox. It's where man finds his center again.
It all builds to what he calls the end game. This isn't just about hiding, it's bigger. He tells the story of Dr. Kurt Workington. This is the ultimate example.
Dr. Workington is the archetype. He was a tenured sociology professor. He was inside the machine, teaching gender dynamics, all of it. And he realized he was teaching lies.
Yeah.
That he was being forced to frame everything as an oppression narrative.
So what did he do?
He quit, just overnight.
Yeah.
Sold everything, moved to the Alaskan bush in a Sprinter van. Lived there for 12 years.
12 years.
And when he came back, he was 58 years old, but his blood work looked like a 35-year-old athlete's.
A total physiological reversal. That's incredible.
He told Riker, "The university made me soft. The wild made me whole." That's the core message. It's about rebirth, proving you don't need the system.
And these men aren't just isolated hermits. He talks about a brotherhood of signal.
Right. They use those encrypted channels. They share intel on water sources, ranger patrols, mechanical fixes. But it's not a community where they sit around and share feelings. It's transactional, respectful, a brotherhood based on competence, not vulnerability.
And the ultimate goal.
To become dangerous men of creation. Riker says the world doesn't need more consumers. It needs men who can build, protect, and answer only to reality. A parallel society of sovereign men who just can't be controlled.
That line. The state can't tax what it can't track. That really sticks with you.
It's a powerful idea. It reframes being a drifter from a tragedy into the ultimate luxury, which is freedom.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Riker ends with this challenge. He says, you are no longer a target, you are a threat. And that is exactly how it should be.
That's the whole shift. As long as you're dependent on the job, the approval, the system, you're a target, you're livestock. When you cut the cords, you become a threat to that system's control. And for Riker, that is the definition of being a man.
Freedom isn't given, it's taken. That's the bottom line. Look, we've only scratched the surface of the tactical details in this book.
Oh, yeah. He goes so deep on water purification, solar, legal loopholes, everything. If this conversation sparked something in you, you owe it to yourself to read the full manual.
Go to Amazon Kindle or Google Play Books right now. Search for Offgrid Van Life Survivalism and Prepping by Conrad Riker. Buy it. Read it. It might just change your life.
And you can follow him directly. He's on Substack at Conrad Riker. He calls his essays bullets aimed at the heart of the lie. He's also on Twitter and YouTube. If you're awake, you should probably be paying attention.
And of course, if you enjoyed this deep dive, please make sure you are subscribed to our show. Leave a review. Share it with a friend who needs to hear this. We're going to keep bringing you these insights unfiltered.
Stay dangerous.
See you on the next deep dive.